If you got discarded by an avoidant after a long-term relationship with this person, there is a good chance that the avoidant resents you, especially if they're a fearful avoidant. This is because avoidants do not communicate their wants and needs to their partners. If you're doing something that bothers them, they're not going to tell you. If there's a need of theirs that's not being met, they're not going to tell you that either. Instead, they're going to bottle it up. They're going to suppress it. They're simply going to bite their tongue, and you are not going to know a single thing. And this person will expect you to be a mind reader. In the avoidance mind, if you love them, you should just know what it is that's bothering them. You should just know what their wants and needs are. They put you in the position of having to mind read. And if you detect that something is off with this person, that maybe they're being bothered, and you ask them, is everything okay? They'll tell you, oh, everything's fine. We're good. Don't worry about it. They won't tell you a thing. This is because in childhood, avoidants had their wants and needs dismissed. They had their emotions dismissed by their parents or caretakers. If they were sad, they were told to go be sad in their room. If they were crying, they were told to just suck it up and to stop crying, and similar stuff to that. So what they learned as a child is that their feelings are unimportant, that your feelings aren't welcome here. Nobody wants to hear your emotions. As an adult, they carry this forward. They don't express their emotions. They don't share their feelings, especially if it is a negative feeling. They bottle it up because that's what avoidants do. They avoid. They avoid communication and they avoid processing emotion, and they definitely avoid asserting themselves until their unmet wants and needs lead to resentment. They've been bottling it up so long that they begin to resent you over time for their wants and needs not being met, or for the thing that you're doing that they don't like. And this resentment builds and builds and builds and builds until the avoidant can't take it anymore. And then they abruptly end the relationship. You were given no warning. You were blindsided. It is out of left field, and you are absolutely devastated. But to the avoidant, it's not a surprise because they've been bothered by this the whole time. They've been resenting you this whole time, and they expected you to figure out what it was that they wanted without them telling you. It is a very painful situation because it is cold and abrupt. And when they discard you, they deactivate. They take their feelings for you, they take their love for you, their emotions, and they suppress it. They bury it. They don't allow themselves to access their own feelings for you. And while they're suppressing their emotions, because that's what avoidants do with negative emotions, they bury them, they can appear to be completely cold, detached, and lack empathy. This is because they're not allowing themselves to feel this empathy in the moment. They're not allowing themselves to feel things for you in the moment. Now, sometimes they can also access a little bit of feelings, and they can be crying and emotional as they're blindsiding you and discarding you. But when you ask for answers as to why this is happening, you will get very vague excuses. I just can't do this. I'm just not ready right now. I just need some time and space to myself. Now, sometimes they will cite the very specific thing that's bothering them, but they give you no chance to rectify it. They give you no chance to address it because they've been resenting you for it the entire time. And when you just learn about it, you want to fix it. But in the avoidance mind, you had that opportunity to fix it, and that's it. It's over. They're deactivated. They're detached from you, and they're moving on. And it is like getting hit by a freight train. You are shattered. You thought you had this life with this person. You thought you had met your forever. And all of a sudden it's over for something that they never communicated to you about. Or they still didn't communicate to you about it, even when they discarded you. They just didn't even tell you then that they are in fact resenting you. And you are blindsided, not knowing what it is that you did wrong. However, you are not responsible for the avoidant's failure to communicate. You are not responsible for this person not directly communicating with you. You can't force someone to communicate, and you are not responsible for anybody else's behavior. You might want to blame yourself for whatever it is that you did that they don't like, but blaming yourself is pointless because it was never communicated to you. You were never given the opportunity to address it, because chances are, if this person did communicate with you, you would have addressed the issue. You would have done the work to help make sure this person's wants and needs were met, because you loved this person unconditionally and you wanted this person to be your partner. Unfortunately, this person does not feel comfortable to communicate, and it is not your fault. It just isn't your fault. Now, they may try to gaslight you and claim that they did try to communicate their wants and needs to you, but often their communication, their version of communicating it, is very subtle hints without direct communication. And without direct communication, it puts you in an impossible position where you have to catch on to these very tiny hints and figure out what this person really means and how important it is to them. Because if somebody's not communicating to you in a direct way and they're just hinting at something, you have no idea what they really mean and how badly they actually want it. That is not on you. Do not take ownership of somebody else's insecure attachment wounds. Don't take ownership of somebody else's maladaptive behavior. You are not responsible for that. Recognize that is a reflection of them and their insecurities, as well as their character, because a healthy partner communicates their wants and needs to their partner. That's what healthy people do. They communicate. And relationship failures are often the breakdown of communication. And this is very often the case in a long-term relationship with somebody who's avoidant, because that's what avoidants do. They avoid, and that includes communication.